Big news right now in the campaign. The Associated Press has just reported that Donald Trump has indeed reached the magic number that it takes to clinch the nomination. 1237 is what you need. Boy, we have talked about that number for months and months. Look at where the AP believes he is at right now. 1238. Thanks to a small number of unbound delegates who told AP that when they get to that convention, they are with Donald Trump. Among them is Oklahoma GOP chairwoman Pam Pollard. So that's what you do. You get out there and you ask people, are you going to support Donald Trump? And in this case, enough of them have now said yes. Byron York rejoins us with this breaking news. You think about that moment, Byron, when he came down that escalator. And to be honest, most people did not take the whole thing too seriously. Right?
They did not predicted by very many people. Just as of yesterday, we had the delegate count, I believe, at 1209, leaving Trump 28 delegates short. But there were always a number of unbound delegates, people who did not have to commit to any candidate before the convention. There were about 200 of them in the Republican Party. AP went out and looked at some of those people. Now they've decided to go with Trump, putting Trump at 1238. Huge news for two reasons. The big one is, obviously, he has clinched the nomination. That's really huge. The second one is the fact that he's done this with the unbound delegates indicates that he really is consolidating the party. You mentioned the Oklahoma GOP chairman. Republican Party officials around the country in the various states are coming over to Donald Trump.
And look at this screen. Just keep this screen up for a moment, okay? You've got Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, John Kasich, and you can add Jeb Bush into that mix. These were the people who were supposed to be the Republican nominee. But then one day, Donald Trump looked at his life and looked at what was going on in the country and said, no, it's going to be me. And nobody believed him, Byron. And he hammered at it and hammered at it with a skeletal small group of people running his campaign. And, you look at John Kasich on that screen, right? He is, not a happy camper. At 161, he said, you bet this thing is going to a contested convention. We all studied up on contested conventions. There was going to be a brawl at the Republican convention in July. No dice. Donald Trump seals the deal today. Byron, final thought.
The important thing is he was serious about this a long time before people knew. He was making contact with people at Christmas time of 2014. In May of 2015, I wrote an article about taking Trump seriously and noted that at that point in May, he had spent more time in Iowa than Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, and Marco Rubio put together. He'd hired experienced operatives. He was serious about it at a time when people were not taking him seriously.
And it's been in his mind since 1998, essentially.
Yep.
And he registered the Make America Great Again trademark days after Mitt Romney lost. Keep all that in mind, folks, as we sort of mark this moment today. Byron, thanks for coming back.
Thank you, Martha.
A little more with Howie Kurtz right now, media analyst with us live in D.C. And Howie, good morning to you. I think Geraldo was the first one who said he'd be the nominee. That was July of last summer, as he will rightly point out to you. You have these unbound delegates that put him over the top, but you still have at least 5 more contests, Howie, on the 7th of June that will easily put Trump well above that 1237 number. So this case is not even an issue anymore. He is the nominee.
Seems like only yesterday we were running endless cable news segments about how could Donald Trump possibly get to 1237. Well, look, we all knew this was coming. The AP call makes it official, but it does kind of act as an exclamation point on a remarkable political odyssey that, as you guys have been saying, I mean, the political establishment, the media establishment, virtually no one thought that Donald Trump could pull this off, running against the governors and senators and pillars of that much reviled GOP establishment. And so it is a moment to say, hey, he did pull it off, and now can he unify the party? Some of his actions in the last 24 to 48 hours raising some questions about that.
I think within the media, there had been an assumption for more than a month, Howie. I think you'd agree with this, that he would be the nominee. So would the coverage change in any way now?
Will the coverage change now? No. I think that up until the time that Donald Trump won Indiana, Cruz bows out, Kasich bows out, there were still a lot of people in the press who were kind of in a state of shock. Some would say denial, thinking about various scenarios where this would go to this contested convention in Cleveland that we're all really excited about, but which is not going to happen. So I don't think this changes the coverage. I do think it perhaps underscores the fact that, okay, now that we're done playing games, Donald Trump is the presumptive and really the unofficial Republican nominee. How much does it matter? They went out and unnecessarily whacked Susana Martinez, the governor of New Mexico, in that state the other day. How much does it matter that Paul Ryan is not on board? He'll eventually get on board, but with how much enthusiasm? In other words, he's got the delegates, but can he win over the rank and file of the Republican Party? Or is it really just the leaders and the politicians who are very slowly not getting on the Trump train?
I imagine it'll be a trickle for the next month and a half. We shall see. 303 delegates on the line on June 7th, by the way. Howie, stand by. We're going to come back to you in a couple of minutes. Got another topic to talk to you about that we actually brought you on to discuss today, so stand by for that in D.C. Thanks, sir.